Okay, this is a series of tutorials on how to make the game Lazarus. I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like right here for a moment. It's a pretty cool game to do modifications to, and it has some cool programming in it, mainly a controller that controls the dropping of the boxes, which is an important game idea. So here it is. I got blocks coming down, and if the block lands on me, it gets squished. These blocks will also build up over time if I do it right. The goal is to get up to the stop button. However, the boxes are built of different strength. There's cardboard, wood, and stone. Watch what happens with this stone. It crushes the blocks below it because it is a heavier duty box. Oops. Oh boy. Oh, that'll work. Okay, now I've got it made. Room, things get more complicated. The trick is obviously not to get squished. Alright, let's get started. Alright, I got a fresh game open up here. I'm going to start by opening up a sprite. I guess I'm going to have to go out and find them here. So I like to do it from here. I'm going to create sprite, load sprite, and chapter 4, no matching sprites for chapter 4. I must be in the wrong fold. Oh, I am totally in the wrong folder. I gotta go to game, dev, prototypes. Oh no. Yeah, oh wait, I'm lost. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm back now after fumbling around a little bit. So what I'm looking for is, I gotta make sure remove background is checked. I am looking for the standing sprite. There is Laz stand. Now you might notice that these are some different sizes, and those are so they can run the animation. When he jumps, he's going to jump left and use this space up, and when this one jumps right, he uses the space up. So first let's look at the standing one. Alright, this is a 40 by 40 sprite, and the origin is in the upper left hand corner at 40 up and 40 over. This is important to remember because later when we open up the other sprites we're going to have to change it so the origin is in the same position relative to Lazarus. So of course SPR Laz, I'm going to call it Laz stand. Okay. Alright. Now we're going to open up another sprite. We're going to open up sprite Laz right. So let's come back in. Let's create a sprite. Load a sprite. So this is jump. There's left. I want Laz with right. Too bad we can't see the preview right now. We'll open this up. Whoa. I think I have a bad file. I may have to go look at these. Hold on again. That's better. I found a non-corrupt version. So I'm going to grab the right, and you can see that's when Laz moves to the right. It shows that animation. We're going to open this up. Now you notice that the origin is up too far relative to Lazarus. So what we have to do is we're going to have to bring it down 40 pixels. So we're going to set the Y value to 40, and it brings it down where it should be relative to Lazarus. I'm going to call this sprite Laz right. Okay, so now I got that one in. Now let's do some more. Let's create another sprite. And this one we're going to go Laz jump right. Let's open up jump right. And let's also move this down to 40 so it's on Lazarus. That would be his right ear if he's facing towards us. L-A-Z jump right. Okay, so we've got stand right and jump right. Now let's start working on the left ones. Let's load up and let's go Laz left. Okay, so this is when Laz moves left. Let's open this up and have a look. So now I need to move it down by putting y 40, and I also need to move it right, x 40, which is in the same position relative to Laz, and this was Laz, underscore Laz left, and okay, there is Laz left. Let's create a new sprite. We're going to load this time jump left. Okay, I'm going to call this SPR Laz jump left. Okay, then I need to move this x to 40, and I need to move the y value down to 40 to keep it in the same position relative. Okay, let's do some double checking. Alright, some double checking. There's stand 0, 0. There's right is 0, 40. Jump right is also 0, 40. Left is 40, 40. And jump left is 40, 40. Alright, we're ready to move on. Okay, the last two sprites we need to bring in for Lazarus is when he's afraid or getting squished. So we'll bring afraid in. It's a 40 by 40, so we'll leave the origin the same. Okay, some kids just came in and we picked up the recycling. I thought I'd save you from that noise. So I believe this was SPR Laz. It looks like he's afraid. So there's afraid, and no changes since it's right there up by his little ear there. And the last one I'm going to bring in, I'm going to load, I believe there's a squished animation that runs, and that's it. Yeah, that definitely is a nice little squished animation. I kind of like it. It's well done. So we're going to go SPR Laz squished, and no changes in anything, and that's okay. And we've brought in our Lazarus animations. You could make a group folder if you wanted to, but it's okay. We don't have that many sprites in this game. So there we go. Now it's on to the next step. Okay, now we're going to create some objects, which is the next step here. Let's create this object, and obj Laz stand, and we're going to give it the stand sprite. We're just going to close these out and create all these objects, and we're going to go obj Laz right and continue Laz right, and then we're going to create an object obj Laz jump right, and we're going to give it the Laz jump right, and I'm going to do these off camera for the rest of them. Okay, so let's do a little bit of programming of our movement. Okay, so object Laz right, we're going to add an event other. Okay, let me move that up. Other, and it's going to be animation end. Now this means at the end of the sprite animation, we are going to move the position of the object right 40 pixels relative 40 pixels relative to where it is right now. Okay, and then under the main 1 tab, we are going to switch objects, and we are going to change it into object stand. So when I hit right on the keyboard, it will look like it's moving to the right. It'll run the animation, which goes to the right, and then the object's going to jump to the right, move the actual object to the right, and then change into stand, so it looks like he's standing at the end of it. You notice that Laz right, if I run and you want to preview this, you can see that the image will go to the right, and at the end of the animation, when the object ends up over here, it'll change to stand, and therefore it just looks like the animation ends. Okay, I hit OK. Alright, so let's do that for object Laz left. I'm going to add event, other, animation end. At the end of that animation end, I'm going to jump to position. This time I'm going left, so it's negative 40 pixels relative to where I was. And then I'm again under the main one tab, I'm going to switch objects, and I'm going to switch it into object las stand. So it will move to the left and change back into the standing object. Let's mess with jump right now. Okay, for jump right, we also are going to include the animation end. And we are going to do a jump to position, but this time we're going to put 40, which is right, and negative 40, which is up. So we'll jump up one position, relative of course, and then we are going to switch objects again into the standing object. Okay, so that's jump right. Now let's do jump left. Double click on that to select it. We're going to add event, other, animation end. Since we're going left, we're going to go negative 40 for the X and negative 40 for the Y. Make sure you do relative. It'll jump to the top. It'll jump off the screen and disappear. And at the end of that, you're going to change it back into stand, and that should do some of our basic movement. Let's move into the squished object. Let's create an object, and this is going to be obj las squished, and of course I'm going to give it the squished sprite. And at the end of this animation, which is under animation end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to display a message to the screen, and that's right here, and do something like better luck next time, whatever you'd like to put to let them know that they've died. And then I'm going to restart the room, which is under the main one tab, and I'm going to restart the room to give them a chance to get squished again, of course. Okay, now we can work on some keyboard input. Let's see if we can get our las to move. So we're going to use a key press right. Then after the key press right, we're going to do a check collision, which is under a lot of checks under the control. So we're going to see if there would be a collision in a position. Okay, now we're going to do this because we don't want Lazarus to be able to move when he's in the air. So we're going to put X to 0. We're going to put Y to 8, which is right below Lazarus. Okay, and that would be relative. Okay, so we're going to check for this collision, and if there is a solid object relative below, then we're going to do some movement, start to move, but we have to do some other checks. So this is a conditional statement. You can tell by the shape of it. So if this is true, it'll run the next thing it sees below it. So if we want to do several things, if this is true, several things, not just the thing right below it, then we need to put code blocks. So if this is true, there's something below them, we can do all of this here. So now we're going to do a check empty collision. Okay, this conditional action is kind of the opposite of the last one. It checks if there wouldn't be a collision. We're going to check to see if it's empty in a position relative to him. Alright, so we're going to set X to 40, which is to the right of the width of a box, right? So if there's any of like a whole box next to us, because the boxes that he's going to be checking are going to be 40 wide, and set Y to 0. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we hit relative, or you're going to get some pretty funky stuff going on because it's going to check in the upper left hand corner of the screen. Now if this is true, we are going to change objects. Okay, into object Lazarus right. So hey, if his feet are on the ground and if it's empty to the right, I'm just going to move him to the right. I'm not going to jump up on top of a box or anything. We need to choose yes for perform events because perform events allows all the events that are in the creation event to happen on this object that we're changing into. That's kind of a nice thing so that you can run those creation event objects or not. Okay, so that is jumping right. Or I should say that's not jumping right, that's moving right. We need to worry about jumping right. Okay, so far so good. So if it's empty to the right, right level with him, we'll move to the right. But now, what if there's a box to the right of him, but we're going to jump on top of it? So alright, so if there is a box to the right of him, this is not true and it's not empty. We're going to check to see if there is a box to the right. Well, we're going to check to see if there's not two boxes to the right, if there's not one up in the air to the right, or stacked on top of the one that's to the right of him, if that makes any sense. I'll kind of show you later. So we're going to set x to 40, and we're going to set y to negative 40. So that's to the right, direct to the right, but up one for solid objects, okay? Make sure you hit relative, so it's relative to the player. So, in this situation, we're going to change objects, and this time we're going to jump right, and we are going to perform events, yes. A bunch of conditional stuff here, conditional programming. Hey, if your feet are on the ground, and if it's empty to the right, go to the right. Oh, there's a block. Oh, this isn't true. It's not empty to the right. There's a block there. Well, is there a block on top of it? No. All right. Well, let's jump on top of the block to the right so that Lazarus can jump on top of the block. Oh, see if I got all that right when we test it. All right. Let's see if we can work on the left now. It's just going to be different x and y coordinates, but the same idea. So first of all, we need to make sure good old Lazarus is on the ground. So this is the same thing, x0, y8, which is below Lazarus. Computers go in the opposite, in the y direction. Negative and positive are backwards on the computer in the y direction. Okay, if that's true, we're going to do a whole lot of stuff. First, we are going to check empty, and now we're going to get set x to negative 40 relative to the left of me. Alright, if that is empty, then let's change Lazarus into, hey, let's move left and perform events, yes. So we can move, change our object into the left, which will cause Lazarus animation left to play, move over one, and to change the position of the object, which is built into move left already. Okay, if that's not true, back to control, else, well, hey, is there a block on top of the one on the left? So wouldn't that be negative 40, and then up would be negative 40. So hey, if that's empty, there's no block stacked on top of it, then I think we would probably want to go to, let's run jump left, perform events, yes, so the rest of the events happen within that. Oh boy, well, I probably made a mistake. The only way to find out if I made a mistake is to do some testing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are also going to check to make sure, if Lazarus is off the ground, we're going to need Lazarus to fall. So we're going to go in and make one more change here. We're going to go to the Lazarus object, and then we're going to put in a step event. And then what we're going to do a little bit of a control. Check empty. We're going to check right below Lazarus. if it's empty below Lazarus, we're going to make him fall, and it's going to move, and we are going to move. We're going to use a jump to position command and set Y to 8 relative to move Mr. Lazarus 8 below. Okay, so it should fall when he's in the air and should move left or right appropriately. Let's hope. In our test environment, we're going to need some walls. So let's create a sprite, let's load it, and let's look for a wall. Mesh, stone, rock. Hey, how about a wall? Let's put a wall in here. And we're going to call it SPR wall. Okay, we're going to need to make an object. Object wall. And we're going to enable solid. We want it to be a solid object because we're going to be checking for solid objects with those conditions earlier. So we need to enable that. Okay. And oh yes, I might as well give it the wall sprite so we can see it. That would be handy. Now we're going to make the test room. Let's create a room. Now I want to set my snap up here to 40 by 40 so I can snap all my blocks in the same place. You want your snap mostly to be the same as all your sprite sizes. Notice all the sprite sizes are 40 or 80. So I have a wall. Let's make a wall so I can't jump off the screen. I'm going to hold down shift so I can put multiple items in. Okay, now you can't get out. I'm going to put a few boxes in, and let's put a little staircase and see if the Laz can climb that. And let's put stand up here and see if Mr. Laz will fall and jump. This seems to never work the first time, but we're gonna have a go at it and cross our fingers that we got everything. I should have saved it. Should have saved it before I ran it in case it locks up. We'll see. It's been pretty stable lately. Okay, my Lazarus fell out of the room. So I gotta go figure out why Mr. Lazarus fell out of the room.